Good evening, all. Thank you for joining us today on a Saturday evening for this exciting session. I'm Komal Mathur, Vice President, PMI Pearl City Hyderabad chapter. Let's get started with the session today. Before we start, a few ground rules for this session. Please do take the opportunity to network with fellow colleagues from the board here through the chat window. Request you to keep posting all your questions and queries through the Q&A session button or the direct chat button, so that we can take up all the questions that you have at the end of the session. We will have sufficient time slotted for the Q&A at the end of the session. And as usual, the PDU code will be shared at the end of the session. So I would like to, on that note, welcome Tahiru Haseen to India. Welcome, Tahiru, and thank you so much for accepting to deliver this session for us today on OT transformation, organizational transformation. Tahiru has over 20 years of experience in leadership, strategy, and transformation, including project management. He is currently a director at Brightline Initiative by PMI, supporting 3 benefit pillars of thought and practice leadership, networking, and capacity building. Tahiru has been a deputy director at Infrastructure and Project Management Group in United Nations office, working on projects related to peace building, humanitarian, and development projects around the world. Prior to United Nations, Tahiru was a senior project manager with Ministry of Transportation in Ontario, working on complex highway projects with multidisciplinary teams. As part of Brightline, Tahiru has co-authored a report and has written several articles relating with Brightline and Thinkers 50 book series, some of them being the Transformation Playbook, Transforming Beyond Crisis, and Perpetual Transformation. Tahiru, with so much wonderful experience, look forward to hearing you out on what is PMI's vision for introducing this exciting micro-credential on organizational transformation, and at the same time hearing how transformation can be people-led, as the title says. So over to you, Tahiru.
Thank you so much, Kamal, and thank you to the entire team in the Pearl City. I really, really appreciate the time to be with you and to discuss a topic that is really, really dear to my heart. And I want to also thank all the attendees. As part of this discussion, we want it to be interactive. We want it to be engaging. So we'll be looking forward to your questions, comments as we go through. Let me start by sharing the PowerPoint slide that we have for today's session. And again, if there is a challenge with the bandwidth, I can also turn off my camera. Just let me know.
It's perfect. Please go ahead.
Excellent. So is it coming clearly, like the slide and everything is set, right?
Yes,
good.
We can see your slide.
Wonderful. So let's go for it. Today we wanted to talk about leading people-centered transformation, and before I do that, I just want to say what is Brightline, because some of you might have heard about it and may be wondering what does Brightline do, or how is it positioned within PMI and so on. So I just want to say that Brightline is a PMI Institute initiative, and it was created really to help organizations and executives bridge the gap between strategy design and strategy delivery, meaning that you have a dream, you have a strategy, you want it to be real. What do you need to do so that that idea, that strategy that you have becomes reality? Because the numbers today are not looking good. Many strategies are failing. And if I share with you a data, every 20 seconds, there is 1 million USD, which is wasted due to the poor implementation of strategies. If you take that 1 million every 20 seconds and you extrapolate it to a year, it is 2 trillion USD wasted every year. And before joining the call, I was looking at the GDP of India. It is about 2.6 trillion as of 2022. So think about it. Every year we waste 3/4, 75% of India GDP is wasted due to the poor implementation of our strategies. It is actually more than the GDP of Brazil and Canada, for example. So PMI has said, this is not acceptable. We need to do something about it. We need to empower change makers wherever they are, project professionals, executives, so that we can get more successful implementation of strategies. And to do that, there have been 3 pillars. The first one is about thought and practice leadership. And in that pillar, what we look more at is insights, be it research, be it book, and so on, and our transformation compass that we bring forward to share what are good organizations doing, what are organizations that are failing not doing, and what can we learn from these and actually be better. The second one is more about networking. And in networking forums, it's about us organizing events. We have an event called Strategy at Work. It is also about us joining events like today, where we connect with people and discuss the very relevant topic. You dream, yes, it is important, but what is even more valuable is that dream that you have become concrete results. That dream that you have help make society better, and by you taking action. Last but not least, we have capability building. In the capability building space, there is an offering that we have on Coursera called Bridging the Gap, which today has over 23,000 learners. And we also release what we call the Organizational Transformation Series. This would be something that I will discuss today, the Organizational Transformation Series, in going more detail and talk about what it entails. But our goal in the capability building space is about empowering leaders, change makers, wherever they are in their organizations, to know what it takes and to leverage what it takes to deliver tangible results, be it strategy, be it transformation, be it actually getting things done. And this is what we'll discuss a bit more. Now, the presentation today will have two parts. In the first part, I'll talk more about transformation in general, and I will talk also about the Brightline Transformation Compass. It is people-centered, and it has 5 blocks. And I want to talk more about these and give insight regarding what we need to do. And then the second part, I'll talk about the Organizational Transformation Series, its foundation, the implementation, and the orchestration. So by the end, you will have a better understanding of what we mean when we talk about transformations, what are the key things to succeed in transformation, and you will also learn about the offering that PMI is putting on the table so that, again, you can go on your transformation journey. So let's start with a simple definition. Transformation. When we say transformation, people wonder, what do we mean? Is it another project? Is it another program? Where does it stand in organizations? And we're saying transformation is about an organization achieving a sustainable quantum leap improvement. So it's not gradual. It is a big change in performance, while at the same time transforming the mindset of employees and people within the organization. So as you are transforming, you are not only changing the system, you are also changing the way people think, the way people act, and the values that the organization is kind of nurturing, so that, again, you can get the best result possible. This is something really important. And you may say, okay, Tyru, this is just a definition. Be more concrete. Give us example that we can relate more closely. Let's go to the animal world. For transformation, I will ask you to take as an example a caterpillar. you see the caterpillar becoming a butterfly. Can you picture that? The caterpillar becoming a butterfly. This is a complete change, because from caterpillar to butterfly, you are not creating a faster caterpillar. You are completely changing the species to some extent, for something that is crawling to something that is flying, So you are completely changing the game there. And then what we say is it's not one off. Transformation is becoming perpetual, meaning after becoming caterpillar or after becoming butterfly, there is something else that needs to happen. This is if we look at maybe the animal world. And then you may say, okay, is there any other example that you can give when it comes to transformation in organizations and so on? And one example that you can take as well is if you take the IT industry and maybe software distribution, thinking about Microsoft. If you go in the early 2000s, Microsoft was mainly about, Word, and it is about you getting CDs and actually trying to get the key code and then installing the CDs and so on, and looking for a period of updates or maybe the new release and so on. And it was also about Windows. The model back then and the model that you have today, completely different. Today, we're no longer looking at CDs. We're no longer looking at buying individual. It is more like subscription model. We also are looking at holistic solutions. So that change has been a massive one in terms of how you reach the channel, in terms of how you distribute the product, in terms of how the organization as a whole is positioned in the world. Now, if we go down and look at some statistics, risk associated with transformation has been listed as the #1 concern for CEOs. So CEOs, when they come and they try to sleep, the thing that can keep them awake is transformation risk. And this was in 2019. So think about it. Since 2020, 2021, 2022, the world has been going through a massive change as a result of the pandemic that we're facing. And I know it's been very, very difficult for many people, for many countries. And when we talk about it, we need to always feel like it's been a tough time to sympathize, to empathize also with people who have went through difficult times. And I want to say that today, if there is a position where we need to put transformation risk, if there was a position that comes before position #1, it would be there, because the world have changed pretty much 360, the way we operate, the way we engage. And even today, supply chain, for example, are being completely disrupted. In the car industries, people want to sell, but they cannot sell the cars because they don't have a part. And the supply chain is not working as it's supposed to be. And then if you go one step down and you look, 70% of transformations are failing, large-scale transformation, 70%. And this is resulting, if you look at only the digital transformation part, it's resulting to 900 billion USD wasted in digital transformation effort. And for me, the part that is also more concerning is that if you look at within organizations, 85% of people are disengaged, meaning that they go to work, but they are just present. They don't feel an attachment with what the organization is trying to do. They don't see a purpose in what the organization is trying to do. So think about it also. You have a power, but you can only use 15% of that power. So if you add all these, failure rate, results wasted, a disengagement of people, we are in a perfect storm. And organizations need to be doing better. So When we look at all these challenges, as part of PMI Brightline initiative, we said we need to do something. So we work with a professor out of Stanford. His name is Benam Tabrizi. And we developed what we call the Brightline Transformation Compass. And the Brightline Transformation Compass is evidence-based, meaning it's not just some people just thinking about good things and then just bring it to light. No, it has been informed by actual data, by actual organizations being coached. So it's not just a theoretical framework. No, it is driven into evidence regarding what works and what doesn't work and how do we need to leverage it. So in a nutshell, the compass has 5 blocks. I'll list them. The first one is about North Star. If you are in a transformation, you must have a North Star. The second one is about customer insight and megatrend. Third one is about volunteer champions. And then we have an operating system, a transformation operating system. And last but not least, very important, is about inside out employee transformation. Let me take them one by one and see what we mean here. Let's start with a North Star. You know, a North Star in a transformation, and you can take it from the organization as well. It is about us as an organization, as people leading the transformation, to have a crisp, inspiring articulation of the vision and also the strategic objective of the transformation that we have. Let me give you an example. If you are going through a transformation and you bring maybe 5 of your leaders, or maybe even, across your transformation structure, and you put them in a room and you ask them, where are we going? That's the question you ask them. Where are we going as an organization? And you put the leaders in the room. What you want is that they are all pointing the fingers in the same direction. This is where we are going. I'm saying this is really important because if this where we are going is not clear, you're starting from the wrong foot. But unfortunately, in so many organizations, when you say, where are we going? You see people pointing their fingers everywhere. And if things goes everywhere, then you need to be really, really, really lucky to align. Because what will happen is the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. One is pulling to one direction, one is pulling to the other direction, and you are tearing your organization apart. This is not a recipe for success. The second thing that I need to say is just share with you the North Star that one organization have said. They said, our vision is to be Earth's most customer-centric company, to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want to buy online. There is the chat feature here. I want you to just enter in the chat, which organization do you think it is? I just want to see in the message box here what you are entering. And seeing if you are coming. Okay, excellent, excellent. Wow, great. So you see, I didn't need to say more. You are all relating to it with Amazon, and then I see someone who wrote also, yeah, so more, yeah, there's Tesla also that came in, and yeah, good. And then there is Tech also, Tech Mahindra who came in, also close to home. Excellent. So this really is the statement from Amazon. That's the vision that they have. Of course, the North Star that they have. Of course, when I ask the question, and today I got new names. When I ask the question, sometimes I'll hear also Alibaba, and I'll hear sometimes some people saying Apple. Today I got more new options. Tesla came up, Tech Mahindra came up, Tata came up, and GIO. So again, It is just to say that once that one is clear, everybody within the organization will align with it, and then things becomes clear, and it's drive all the action that people take. And I might share an example about Amazon with you. Now, the second block is about embedding a deep understanding of the customer you have in every change you make, and also of every employee. Here we are talking about customer insights and megatrend. When you want to transform, when you have that idea, it's not just about you as an organization, but it's about what is that idea going to do, or what is that solution going to do for the customers. And customers, I use it in the wider sense, meaning external as well as internal, because sometimes your customer, the person that will use your system is someone inside, or the person that will use the product is someone inside the organization, so someone external. Or the change that you're bringing would affect your employees. So very important to get that insight. And also what is happening, bigger picture. What is happening in the world? What are the changes? It's true, today, many of the changes are being driven by technology. You think about it, 5G, machine learning, AI, of course, machine learning, cloud, I mean, big data, blockchain, you name them, quantum computing that might be coming. And then you look at autonomous vehicle, or you think also about AR, augmented reality, virtual reality. There are massive changes that are happening, being driven by technology. And beside technology, there are also other factors, societal, there could be social, political, environmental. Environmental is becoming big. There could be also demographic, and then competitive also factors. And as organizations, what this one is saying is we need to be sensing. We need to look at what is happening, because if we don't, we will disappear. And a good example you may know, because I tend to give North America centric example, but I'm sure in India we'll have also similar examples. Think about Kodak. Kodak was well known for camera, digital, the analog camera and so on. Today, Kodak, for all practical purposes, is gone. They didn't do the shift fast enough to digital camera. And sometimes it's not because they didn't see it coming. They saw it because they actually, people are saying like some of the technology for digital camera were within Kodak, but they failed to act because they were too comfortable with what they were in. And that is not the recipe for success. Think about also maybe Blockbuster. In the US, it used to be in the past, if you go in the early 2000s, when you need a movie, you go to a DVD rental space called Blockbuster. They were dominating the market, and you get your DVD. And there was one company that was kind of looking at the business model and found that actually sometimes the big challenge for you was when you go to get the DVD, if you don't return it on time, they charge you a penalty. And the company was making more money because they were charging penalty to people. So the new company, Netflix, said, what can we do to ease it? Is it okay if could we find a way of maybe mailing the DVDs? And then people, when they finish, they just need to mail it back. And all of a sudden, with that very business model, they started disrupting Blockbuster. And then they say, oh, why do I need to wait to mail it and then wait for it to come and so on? That was a waste of time. I want it, but I want it now. And the solution became streaming. So they basically went from distributing DVD to streaming, and today they are into content production. If you look at the Oscar nomination coming up in March, I saw that there were many movies that were created by Netflix. So it is an example of a company that is looking at what is happening, and that is sensing, that is adjusting, that is adapting, so that they can be there for the long term. And the culture that they have at Netflix, when we talk about people-centered, the culture that they have is built on trust. We are trusting you that you'll make the right decisions. We're not going to be babysitting you. We're not going to be checking you. Or, no, we are trusting that you'll do what is right by Netflix. And if you can create that environment of trust, you're in a big position. Of course, I just gave Netflix as an example, but let's even look at the construction industry. The construction industry today, the way people are developing plans with a 3D model or BIM model, the way people are developing plans, and even construction. Now we're talking about 3D printing, where you can build a house. I mean, just with a maquette, and then you start pouring concrete or mortar and get the house built in no time. If you look at the beginning of the crisis in China, if you look at how fast they put in the hospitals. So these also domains are being disrupted. And if you are a company and you are watching, you'll be preparing for that. And you can think about Airbnb also with the hotel industry, or you can think about Uber in the car industry, in the taxi industry. So as leaders or as project professionals, we cannot just close our eyes and put our head in the sand. We need to be looking at what is happening. Last but not least is the autonomous vehicle. I saw someone wrote Tesla. I mean, the future seems to be electric. Tesla today is overtaking, I mean, the Corolla, the Toyotas, and so on when it comes to electric vehicle. It's obviously Tesla is becoming the new Prius. And then incumbent company, if they don't react, if they don't adapt quickly enough, there might be the Kodak, or there might be the Blockbuster. In November last year, there was a company named Rivian. There's a company named Rivian who did an IPO. It is an electric vehicle company, but they're producing more trucks because right now Tesla doesn't have out a truck option. That company did a IPO. And you know what? Within 2 weeks, that company became the number 2 car company in the world. They were only second to Tesla. They took over GM and all the huge car companies. Okay, let's move on. Just to say that we made the point very clear here. The next one is more about having a flat, adaptable, cross-functional organization structures that enable change. So it is more about the transformation operating system. And here what we mean is you cannot transform your organization easily with a system that you have in place. A transformation engine needs to be adaptable. It needs to be, you need to cut through the bureaucracy, and it needs to be having people from different parts of the organization joining that transformation. Otherwise, it loses steam. Otherwise, it doesn't actually deliver. It doesn't get the full flexibility to move. So when we talk about transformation, the word agile came as well, because you need an agile structure. And what we're saying is you need light governance, strong program management. You need to have collaborative and appropriate risk appetite. You need to define KPIs that will be tracking, and also having venture capitalist style investment round, meaning you're not putting all your fund at once. You're going through rounds, you put a little bit, you see what you're getting, how it's performing, and then you adapt and so on. So very key here. If you're transforming your organization, the structure that you put across need to be flexible, adaptable. You need to cut through the bureaucracies. Too often we get bogged down by bureaucracies. Now, moving on to the next one, which is volunteer champions. And this block here, what we're saying is, we're saying that to do the transformation, you need to rely on people within your organization. Volunteer champions, sometimes people call it change agents. So you need to have people within the organization that will help you drive a transformation. So you need to recruit them, you need to empower them, and you need to put them in a position where they can perform. Because if you can do that, they would actually be committed, and actually you'll get even better adoption. I was at a Web Summit in November, and there was a company sharing some statistics. They said 84% of digital transformation fails because of lack of adoption. It's not a technology issue. You bring the technology with people, you have very smart people across the world, and India is actually very advanced in that front. You have very smart people that can help you bring forward the technical solution, no doubt about it. The challenge is, how do you get people to adopt it? How do you get people not to sabotage it? How do you get people to be your allies as part of this transformation initiative? And to do that, you need people within the organization to be the champions of that change, to be willing to try. And as you're doing that, you are also creating future leaders. The challenge here is that for too long, many organizations feel, okay, I'm transforming and I'll go and get a consulting organization, they'll do the transformation for us. What we're finding is that yes, you can rely on consulting organizations, especially for domain or places where you need insight or where there are insights that you don't have. But what we're finding though is they shouldn't be the one leading the transformation for you. They should be actually supporting you, but actually harnessing the power of people within your organization to drive it. Okay, so just to clarify, we are not saying no to consulting. We are just saying that the driving force for the transformation need to be people within the organization. Now, last but not least, is about the inside out employee transformation. And this for me is very, very critical, because too often when we say we are transforming, what happens? The organization, we go in here, and then it looks like everybody needs to all of a sudden come and go over with the organization. But organization need to take the time to see what it means to the individuals within the organization. What does it mean for Tairu? What does it mean for Komal? What does it mean for Nisha as part of this transformation that we're doing? And what are the aspirations? How can we align their aspirations with that of the organization? And it has to be intentional. It has to be intentional in helping people finding how what they want, the aspirations, aligns with that of the organizations. So organizations need to connect, help the people connect the aspiration to the North Star of the organization. Otherwise, you get the 85% of people disengaged. But if you can get that, if you can actually look for every person, what are their strengths? You know, what are their strengths? What they enjoy doing? And what gives them happiness? If you can get to someone and know the strength of the person, what they enjoy doing, and what gives them happiness, you know, joy, if you can get to this sweet spot, you have created a timeless, a powerful, dynamic ecosystem or system. Because people will do the work because they like it, because they adhere to it. They will not even count the time. But too many organizations fail to do it. You'll hear the CEO coming in, people are our most important asset. And yet, you don't see the CEO being a people person. They go and sit in the C-suite, and then there is no connection with people down. So we think this is really important. I'll end this part with a quote of Satya Nadella. And again, I gave two examples from Microsoft, but I just want to say I don't work for Microsoft, okay? So I don't get any share or any bonus whenever Microsoft is doing well. But this quote by Satya Nadella, I think, is very deep. He says, I want every employee of Microsoft to discover a deep sense of purpose in their work. You know? So when you are doing your transformation, really important for people to find a purpose. And today, if you look at, especially in North America, there is what people are calling the big resignation, where more and more people are quitting their jobs. Sometimes because they're not finding meaning in their job. Okay, so this was the first part. So what we did is we created the compass. And we said, okay, this is a document that is nice, that is decent, and that is also really conveying the message regarding what we need to do with transformation. But we said the document itself is a very good start. What can we do to empower more people to be transformative force, especially project professionals? This is what led us to the creation of the Organizational Transformation Series. It is a series of 3 courses. There's the foundation, there's an implementation, and there's an orchestration. And our desire is that project professionals, first, understand the basics of transformation, and second, they could play even higher role in the organization when it comes to transformation. Why not becoming the chief transformation officer? So if you take the foundation, there we are mainly talking about what you need to know about a transformation. What is a transformation? What role can I play as a project professional? And so on. So it's about knowing. If you take the implementation, it is about doing. Because sometimes you know, but just because you know doesn't mean that you do, or doesn't mean that you know how to do. So our goal in the implementation is to empower project professionals to be able to do the work that is required to transform organization. So when we say you need to have a vision, a North Star, so how do you actually make it happen? How do you actually go and draft that North Star for your organization, for your transformation? And then last but not least, orchestration. Orchestration is more about leading the transformation, looking at the bigger picture. What type of transformation do we need? Do we need to make a strategic transformation? Do we need to make a maybe business model change? Do we need to change our operating model? What type of transformation do we need? And how do we get there? How do we align people toward it? So orchestration is bigger picture. If I can just illustrate with a bike, most of us as kids, or maybe even now, we have a bike. So if I can use a bike as an illustration, in the foundation, we are bringing the bike and we are showing the different part of the bike. We're telling you that this is a bike, here's the seat, here is the wheels, here's the handle, and so on, and here is the pedal. So we are describing the bike for you so that you know what is a bike. In the implementation, we are actually making you ride the bike. So it's no longer this is the handle. No, it is actually you sitting on the bike and start riding the bike. So getting up or going up a mountain, downhill, so you are able to move the bike. That's what the implementation does. And then in the orchestration, we are actually asking the bigger question. What type of bike do you want? Do you want a mountain bike? Do you want a cycling bike? Do you want, let's say, a small tires? Do you want larger tires? How do you want the seat? So you are framing what that transformation will be. You are framing what that bike will be. And you can start anywhere. The way we design the course, we design it to be flexible. Although the desired path, the recommended path is you do foundation, you do implementation, and orchestration, so that order. But we design it in a way where maybe someone say, I already know the foundation. I already know the bike. I don't want to learn more on the bike. I know the bike. I want to ride the bike. So then you can go directly into implementation, no prerequisite. Or someone may say, oh no, I know actually the bike, I know implementation, but what I need to do is, how do I decide what type of bike is appropriate for this situation? Orchestration comes and help. Now, in this slide, we show basically in detail, more detail, what you need, what you will see in the foundation. the type of transformation, I mean, what you need to do as an individual as part of that transformation. We also talk about what are the roles and responsibility of project leaders in a transformation initiative. And then we talk about the best practices to implement transformation. That's what you see in the foundation. And there are 9 modules in the transformations. So we have, again, the transformation, the building blocks that I mentioned today will go in detail, the transformation fundamentals, and then we have a case studies. So we're saying you're learning, but can you apply it in a case study? So we have a case study to support you. In the implementation, same. Again, we go, again, as I said, go deep dive and help you actually ride that bike, help you actually lead that transformation and take the action that are required to make it happen. And then again, the implementation also has 9 modules. We continue with the case study, and then we move on through the different modules and talk more about what it takes then to implement the transformation. Then the last one is orchestration. Orchestration, one example that I'll give, if you look at your capabilities, because you say, okay, I want a mountain bike. So what you will decide then is, what are the capabilities that you have today within the organizations? What are the capabilities that you need to build that mountain bike? Then the question is, how do you close that gap? And then when you answer that question, how do you close that gap? You need to ask yourself, do you build the capacity inside? So do you have to make it inside so that it is you that have these capabilities? Do you need to partner with someone, right? Because that is one possibility as well. Or do you need to actually acquire someone? So you're not partnering, you're buying them out. Or do you need to actually outsource it? So these are big questions that you'll have, because usually when you're transforming, your organization may not have all the capabilities that are needed to transform. So you may have to make decisions regarding partnering and so on. When we think about an autonomous vehicle, if you take Apple, for example, and Apple will say, maybe we want to go into autonomous vehicle. Apple will need to ask itself, do we do it ourselves? Or maybe do we need to partner with Ford? Or do we need to partner with Tata? Do we need to partner with other organizations so that we can actually do the work that is needed and bring the autonomous vehicles that we need and so on? So very, very, very key here. Now, that one has 8 modules. And again, it is more about conceiving, architecting, orchestrating what that transformation will be, and what capabilities you have, how do you go and achieve the outcome that you need, and having a case study that support you as well. So in a nutshell, these were the 3 courses that we put together for the organizational transformation series. And so far, the feedback that we've been receiving has been very, very encouraging, extremely encouraging, actually. I mean, I'm sharing with you some of the comments that I hear. Some people say, excellent course, I love it. And I remember many people that were leading transformation that came to me after they took the course and they say, Tairo, I wish I took this course before I started my transformation. That was more talking about the foundation. And for me, when I look at it, when I look at project professionals, I know one day or another, your organizations, or it could even be your personal life, a transformation will be part of it. You cannot escape it. You cannot avoid it. So it is really important that we as project professionals, we as a change maker, we have that basic understanding of transformation. And then many of us may want to have a career also in transformation, that we don't hit a glass ceiling, that we can be positive force in transformation in our organization. So we can actually look at the foundation, and we can go beyond the foundation and look at implementation and looking at orchestration and becoming leading voice, leading actors of transformation in our organizations. And as I mentioned in the portion that I was talking about the volunteer champions, as you're doing that, you would be playing a leading role in your organization because people will rely on it. And actually having that ability to transform within organization is at premium. So, I mean, you can go into some organization where you say transformation, then everybody wants to run away. People are fearful. People are concerned about transformation. If you could have more people going through the transformation, starting with a foundation, at least you'll create what I call the receptive mind. You'll create at least the springs that are more willing to accept transformation, or at least more willing to open their ears. What is it? What are we talking about? What can I do in the transformation and so on? It's more like if you think about an earthquake happening in Tokyo, in Japan, you see that sometimes the building will just shake back and forth, and then all of a sudden the building is back stable, steady, and ready to continue. So having these transformative muscles and having people supporting it is very key. I'm just sharing this slide here, just because sometimes people ask for pricing. So these are the pricing for members and non-members. And then what we've done, of course, is we have a discount code also applicable to the foundation, a 35% discount code for people in India, so that again you could access the course and you could start the journey on transformation. So if there are questions, you can also discuss with your chapters and so on in ways we can assist. So this is, in this note, I want to say that first, thank you for the time that you gave to me. I know there are questions coming in, so we'll go on and start taking the questions and addressing them. I'll stop here for now.
Thank you, Tairu, for that wonderful session. There are a lot of questions coming up from the members. Do you want me to read out them to you?
Yes, please. You can start, and then I'll also look at some as you're starting for me. Yes.
Sure. So the first question is from Pavan. He is mentioning that you were referring to customer insights. He wants to understand, is it related to external customers only, or is it also about internal customers?
Thank you. Great question. Really, when we talk about customer insight, and that's a question from Pavan, we mean actually both sides, inside and outside. Because sometimes maybe the system that you're developing is not to be used by, it's not being used by an outside facing customer. It could be internal. So sometimes it will be more like improving the operating system, and that will be more internal facing. And there could be cases where, and that is a big part of the cases, it is also external. So sometimes, and you hear it more and more, people are talking about CX and people are talking about EX. CX meaning customer, but more like external, and then EX, employee experience. And what we're finding is if we take good care of our people, they'll take care of our business and they'll help us actually get the societal and also the financial and all the good things that we need to be contributing faces. So to answer the question shortly, we are referring to both inside and outside. And for in one example for inside, today, there is what I was calling in the US, the big resignation. Many people are quitting their jobs. So this is more like an internal focus. What are organizations doing? So today, if you are an organization and you say people must work on site, if you mandate it, people must work on site. You're not looking to accept any hybrid or remote work. It will be difficult. I'm not saying maybe in 5 years things may not change, but today, if you say you want people to be coming to work every day, 9 to 5 or whatever it is, it will be the pool of people that you could attract would be different than 2-3 years ago.
Thank you, Tairu. The next question is from Naveen. He is talking about organization transformation. Is it specific to companies or technology? Can we look at bringing the same into healthcare industry?
Wonderful questions. You know, transformation really is not industry specific. It applies to all industries. And it is not technology specific. There are many drivers for transformation. Let me give an example. Because transformation is about, as I said, in organization achieving quantum leap in terms of performance or maybe in terms of business model. So It could be governmental. In government systems, sometimes you hear about healthcare reform, or you hear about education reform. In the basic sense, it is a form of transformation, because there is something that is not working, or there is something that we need to enhance, and we need to do the healthcare reform, or we need to do the education reform, or we need to do custom reform. So it applies to government. It applied also to non-for-profit. Maybe there was one way you were helping people, but depending on what is emerging, you needed to adapt. You needed to change. So if you take, I mean, we saw it from a distance, but India with the vaccination, India changed many of the way India is doing in the healthcare system to do the best it could to address this. And this is, let's say, government healthcare sector. And then it could be the one we know a lot is about companies. It's about companies shifting. Think about Apple. If you go back in the '97 when Steve Jobs came back, and from many products and the design that were designed were not necessarily the best strength and so on, to him actually changing and say, we want to focus. This is what we want to be known for, and this is what we kind of pushing and moving forward. One good example is, I was giving it last time, is Philips. I don't know how many of us recall Philips, but if we go in the early 2000s, Philips used to be known for, let's say, TVs, for, let's say, DVD, not DVD, like stereos, let's say music playing. That was what Philips was known for. Philips is a Dutch Netherlands company. And they used to be very big alongside with the Sony and the Sharp and so on. But today, when you look at TVs, what do you see? Today, when you look at TV, you see LG, you see Samsung. You don't see any more Philips there. What happened? Philips made a massive transformation. They moved out of these, and then now they are they are primarily in healthcare electronics. So to answer your question shortly, is transformation could apply to any. Now that is what I need to be saying also, that is important, because sometimes when that question is asked, it is important to look at the pace or the speed. If you are in IT, like industry, the pace of transformation is really fast. It's really, really fast. And if you are not fast at adapting, overnight you are out. Because look at what Airbnb did for, let's say, the hotel industry. Look at what the taxi did. Let's say for Uber did for the taxi industry. You know, sometimes if you are used to Uber, you don't even want to get into a taxi again, because when it comes to pay or the experience, I mean, you don't want to get into it. You use your mobile app, you call the service, it comes in, you get out. You don't even need to talk in terms of money. It is already debited. The experience is just amazing. So that one thing that I wanted to call out. And then there are some industries where the transformation is much slower. It doesn't move as fast as others. So typically, let's say the construction industry sometimes is not moving as fast as other industries. But then even if you take the construction industry, it depends on where you are. Because in some places, actually that speed is fast. I was 3 weeks ago in Dubai, and I was looking at what was happening there. It was my first time actually to Dubai. I've been to 50 countries, but only first time in Dubai about 3 weeks ago. It is amazing what is happening. The way they construct, the speed with which they go. I went to Dubai Expo. Oh, it was another world. Like it's kind of how do they build this? So, and it is construction. But in terms of how far they are more advanced. So the pace of transformation also depends on geography and so on. But those organizations that can sense it, that can see it, that can act fast, would be the ones that are born or prepared to reap the benefit. And it needn't be only organizations. It is also countries. You know, I was looking at autonomous vehicle because the question is very important. I was looking at autonomous vehicle or electric vehicle. You know, the country that is buying the most electric cars? Anyone taking a guess? Looking at the answers, what do you think? What country is buying the most uh, electric cars? Can you try to answer? India, China, USA, China? More? Yeah, China. Yeah, I'm very happy actually. The people who answered, yeah, it is 3-5. Three. Yeah, but the answer is China. The answer is China. China is way ahead in terms of purchase of electric vehicle. And if the future is electric, can you believe what will happen if you look at 10 years, 20 years from now? It will be big. And then other countries are following as well. But just to say, government also can play a leading role in transformation. Next question, yeah.
Thanks, Ed. In the interest of time, I'm just picking up another question from Ravikant. He's looking at, he's asking for if you can share a use case of Brightline where the organization transformed in a bigger way.
Yes, yes. We as part of the compass, we gave two examples. We gave the example because if you take, we have the Brightline Transformation Compass, which is available in our website. We gave two examples. We gave the example of a Santa Clara Medical Center. It is an organization in West Coast in the US regarding what they did for patient journey, so that again the treatment and the happiness of the employees in that health center was good. So that is a good example that you can find in the compass. We also look at VeriSign. You know, when you pay with a credit card and so on, there is a verification. There is a VTS. They call them the VeriSign telecommunication. They also did very, very great practices, and we discussed it in the compass. In the course, in the transformation, the three courses, we're using one case study also to help you see what it means for a company that is in furniture, let's say, and how they're doing the transition to more environmental friendly ways of developing furniture. So we have these examples. And if you take the world and outside of Brightline, there are many great examples. One that I will give just to close here is a company named Ørsted. It's a Danish company. They used to be called Dong, Danish oil natural gas company, but they decided to move completely out of this industry. So they made a complete move out of oil and gas, and they're now selling more wind turbines and so on. So this is a good example to also look at. But again, when I talk about oil and green and so on, I know different countries have different positions, and I know there is a bigger debate regarding which countries, what other countries have done at some point, and so on. So I'm not making a judgment here. I'm just saying that there is a trend that is happening, and the countries have to be willing to look at what to do with that trend and be at the forefront will be the one that will reap the benefit.
Thank you, Tairu. We will take one more last question. This is from Koli. She is asking, in process industry transformation drive linking to aspirations of employees in India, we are finding it to be difficult. How do we deal with this? How to link transformation drive to the aspirations of employees?
Yes. This is a very great question. It's not easy, okay? It's not easy, but there are simple things that I see would help. The first one that I see will help is actually bringing people as part of that process. By bringing people as part of that process is basically not go out and then set a direction and then expect that everybody come and follow. It doesn't mean that you get everyone involved in that decision making, but consult as much as you can. Consult as much as you can as you are developing it so that people will feel that they've been listened to. If as a leader, let's say, for example, you're making a decision, it doesn't mean that you do what people told you. But if you listen to them, and at the end, based on what you've heard, you make your decision, and sometimes you can explain why you did it, but sometimes the very fact that you've listened is very important. But even before that, before that, because the question is very important. What I've seen, if you can create trust within your organization, where people will say things without being fearful that someone will do a repercussion. If you can create a trusting environment within your organization, you would be in a very, very good position. And without trust, things are difficult. And last but not least, is about that willingness to learn, being a learning organization. And by learning organization, I mean really that you take things more like as experiment. You know, you don't expect that people have all the answers to begin with. You are willing to try and know that things may work and things may not work and so on. This, what I'm giving here as a, when I talk about the trust, when I talk about the learning, and when I talk about bringing people on board, these are things that I was talking about organizational wise. But for the leaders, what is really really important is, I mean, that passion. You know, you need to have a passion for what you do, and the employees need to feel it, so that they could also tie their own passion with the bigger direction of the organization. For the leaders, what you also need is the boldness. You need to have courage to make decisions, because transformation is not easy. But at the same time, because transformation affects people's life, you need to have empathy, because your decisions would have big impact. Doesn't mean that you don't decide. No, you will decide, but you need to have a dose of empathy for what your decision will mean for your people. And as you're doing that, empowering the people, empowering them. Don't be micromanaging. Give them the room. Let them thrive. Let them try to do what is actually meaningful. You know, if you can create this context, you'll be in a very, very good position, because then there'll be more receptiveness. People will be more, they want to take initiatives. You know, these are the type of things that you want to have as DNA in organization. And of course, last but not least, your ability to sense as well. Let's say get feedback from the employees, see what they're saying, and then if you need to change, you are also adapting as well, listening to them. I can go on this one, but there is one that you want organizational wise. There are traits that you want leaders to portray, as people will say, leading from the middle, or actually leading by example. And with this, you'll get that alignment, but it doesn't happen overnight. Okay, it's not as simple as maybe I may be making it seem. It's not simple. It is persistent, continuing, more like the elephant. You know, you poke, you poke, you poke, you poke, and then slowly the elephant is changing direction.
Thanks, Tairu. I know we are on the top of the hour, but there is one interesting question asking for sharing some good reads around the transformation topic. Do you have any recommendation for our members?
Yes, yes, I do. Actually, the first one, it may seem like selfish, okay, but we've been doing a lot of research. We've been doing a lot of research on the topic of transformations and so on. And every year we publish a book on a different topic related to transformation. So, and this is not just Brightline. Of course, Brightline has been helping curating this book, but we were getting insight from many organizations and so on, many people. So we have a series of books. 4 of them, if you go on our website, are free. There is the transformation, crisis. There is also the Chief Transformation Officer's playbook, and so on. So we give, it is many articles in it that we give that people can use. There is also this book that we released last year called Perpetual Transformation. There are articles from people across the globe regarding good practices in transformation. Now, beyond that, I would say there are many good resources as well that discuss the topic of strategy, transformation, and so on. One, I maybe I'll share, because I had my list of books that I'm reading this year, and there was Rita McGrath, who has a book called Seeing Around Corners, which is a very good one. There is also Martin Reeves, from a BCG. He has a book called Imagination Machine, which is also very good about transformation. And then there is another one called Carsten Linz. He has a book called Radical Business Transformation. It is a very good read as well. What I will do, maybe I'll share that image that I created of some of the reads that I'm doing. Again, this is Tairu's. It's not PMI. So I'm not talking when I was giving this example on behalf of PMI. It is just the books that I so happen to be reading these days on transformation. And then last but not least, we are working on creating 2 more books. One is called Building Resilient Organizations, and one will be about digital transformations, just to put it out there.
Thanks for that information, Tairu. That was helpful. And I think thank you for your patience for answering all the questions from our members here. And thank you so much for taking out time to do the transformation building blog session for us, covering the PMI organization transformation series and what it means to, be knowing, doing, and leading the transformation. Thank you so much for doing this session for us and making us aware of what organization transformation is all about. Quickly moving on, we have a couple of announcements from the chapter end. Let me go through them first. You all as members would have received the call for nominations to the PMI PCC board elections. The notification mailer had gone out on 16th Feb, and on 18th Feb, you all have also received the nomination details, and in terms of how you can, come on board if you're interested, nominate yourself by going through the process of elections. So members look forward to your involvement here and look forward to your nominations too. Voting process is yet to start. We are initially seeking nominations from interested candidates. That is in process. The schedule for the elections is also part of the mailer, so please go through that. The next one is you must have already been receiving communications on that. The chapter is conducting a disciplined Agile Senior Scrum Master session from 22nd to 25th Feb. This is going to be an early morning session, 7 to 8 a.m., keeping in mind it's working day. So folks who are interested in becoming a Senior Scrum Master, please do register for this course, and you can reach out to academy@pmi-pcc.org or call on the number listed here to get further details on this program. Tairu has already shared this, but let me share it again for the benefit of the members. As PCC members, you get a 35% discount on the Organizational Transformation Foundation series. So please you use this opportunity and go through the foundation course and get yourself micro credentials for this relevant course. I'm just pausing for a second for interested members to take a note of this code. I'll also be posting it on the chat window. Moving on, the most awaited PDU information. Here is a PDU code that you can use. It's already active. You can go ahead and apply. This session qualifies for a 1 PDU from under the technical category. So please feel free to use this code and you apply to your PMI credentials to log in for this PDU. Once again, thank you so much, everybody, for taking time out on a Saturday evening, and look forward to more questions and queries from you on the OT series. If you have any further questions, please do reach out to me. I would, at this moment, also take an opportunity to ask the other board members who are present on this call, Suma or Praveen, if they would like to add something.
I think from me, Komal, it's absolutely great session. A lot of appreciation from all the members.
Thanks, Praveen.
Absolutely fantastic session, Tairu. Thanks so much for that. It gives us a great clarity regarding each of the tracks and how the members can benefit from it. And as some of the members had asked, some of the more reads regarding this, as well as the way forward case studies that would really help. Thank you so much for spending the Saturday evening with us. This gave us a lot of clarity. Thanks,
So much.
Komal.
Yeah, for the sake of members, PDU code and the discount code has been shared. So you can make use of it. And Kiran, there's a question, Komal, he missed the session. So Kiran, these sessions will be uploaded to YouTube in 2-3 days. You can watch the recording there.
Thanks, Praveen, for that. And thank you so much to Nisha also for helping us connect with Tairu and getting this session delivered for our chapter members. And thank you, Tairu, once again for your time.
Okay, thank you so much and have a good one. Have a good one. Bye-bye now. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Really happy.
Thank you.
And if there is anything, please reach out. We'll be happy to assist.